Yeah, this first shot here is my first set of wheels. Thinking, yeah, I'm gonna get along good with this baby. I don't know, I was probably like 2 or something, who knows. And yeah, it was my first car. It was, I think it was a 1950 Studebaker, pedal power, all metal, no cushions on the seats. Had a working speaker that you could talk through until Larry, my older brother, fixed it and stuck a screwdriver through the speaker. But he was angry because I had got my car first, and I was the adopted kid, and I was the younger brother. He got a dog. Quit crying. I took to this thing pretty well. Go cruising, you know, looking for chicks, but unfortunately, Mom kept cramping my style because she kept wanting to tag along. So that and the fact the thing weighed like 100 pounds and I couldn't move it. And especially when it had the skinny tires sitting in the soft grass, there's no way you're going to move that thing. Yeah, so the only way I would get that was Larry would have to push me. And we just didn't happen very often because, you know, the thing weighed 100 pounds. Larry was 5 years older, so he would push me down the front sidewalk until we hit somebody's grass, which had a slight slope to it, and he'd make me swerve up onto that. So what would happen is I'd go up on that, and then the thing would roll and fall out. You know, we ended up breaking that car. So little did I know, this is like a foreshadowing to what I'm going to do the rest of my life, as well as there's this kid here. I don't know who he was, some ugly kid, some bully. I didn't pay attention to the comings and goings of the people of this house. All I know of, he wanted to drive the car, and yeah, you can drive it if you can pry my cold dead hands from the steering wheel. So that's pretty much the look I was given there, between that and going to cry because this big kid is going to steal my car. So that's my first car. Then fast forward 16 years later, Ford Galaxy 500. Bought this thing for $500, and we drove this thing through the bush all over the place, East Kootenay Valley. And notice the blue plates? That's the old days when BC had blue plates and Alberta had yellow. And that particular shot before took us up, and I think this is Mount Goldie. So we didn't quite get to the top because it got pretty steep. Just spun out on loose gravel, so then we walked the rest of the way, and here I am. And of course we were wearing the latest hiking attire of the time, this being 82, 83, something like that. And of course the hiking attire was denim, jeans for everything. So there I am, sporting my look. Very tippy top, I think is Mount Goldie. And yeah, that's my first stash. Didn't have to touch it for a couple of years because didn't need to shave it. She was coming in good. And the glasses, it was either this or dark rim. You know, those big thick rims you get from the 50s. You get that, or you get the trucker ones, which were these ones. So yeah, I was very cutting edge in my glasses there. And that's the views that car could take me to. I was up here actually with Gerald on this trip. Pretty much most of the times I was cruising around with Gerald. Best fan at the time. Anyway, fast forward maybe a year or something, and a new nice fancy red fender later. I used to do all the work on this thing my own self, so I got some good retreads on there and all the brakes, and so this is a really good testament on how good I did the brake job. Anyhow, we were cruising around that day, basically haven't eaten nothing. I had a bowl of cereal, I think, and a piece of toast. We got up early, driving around. Now we're just bored, and we see this hill going down that we've never went down before, and a smart fella would have got out and walked it, but we weren't smart. We were teenagers. Figured, whatever goes down, we can always get out. Like, it looked like a pretty good road. But it turned pretty nasty pretty quick as we went down this hill, and it was soft, shaly stuff like this. And so when I got down to this sort of flat surface-ish, I couldn't back up again, and going ahead was this. So this was our first of many obstacles we had to do that day. What Gerald's doing here is sitting on the brakes while I got to come along, drag the front end of the vehicle around so we can actually make the corner. It was going to be a 30-degree-Celsius day, and we didn't bring any water, no food, don't have nothing. This is up like near Brewer Creek, if you know the area, between Invermere and Fairmont on West Side Road. West Side Road is 14 kilometers at this point to Invermere, plus the kilometers to get us way back in the bush here, so I don't know, what, 20-something-ish kilometers, I guess, to get back to civilization. But we've been out here a ton of times, except for this particular road, of course. Because I got us down this thing, so I gave Gerald the easy job. Dragged the front end around. Next obstacle after this was huge ruts and a big corner, which you had to bank and you had to have momentum to make it through, or you get bellied up on it. Got through that one. Next one was a big, huge tree across the road, and we could if I just hugged the bank, I could just squeeze underneath. You can hear the ee down the roof as I got underneath that. And then just after that one was this. And then we came to this cutout. It's like they ended the road and then they cut this other road in. Yeah, and there's no going up. So we're committed to going down. So the idea here was to not go straight down this little cliff. I knew it was going to slide, but if I go straight down, I'll bury the nose and then it really get stuck. And tires might get in the air because the front and back will touch the dirt, but your tires are now hanging in the air. So the idea was to go down, try and straddle this big bump that's right in front of us here and get down that way. So that's what we did, sort of doing here. Here we are, trying not to break off the front tire. So I'm going slow, just slid it down slow, but got to this point. Now we got to try and straighten it out. And you can see this is the very end of the road, and you see the slope of the hill. So this road that I'm getting onto is pretty much all you can see there, how wide it is. So nowhere near can't put that car sideways on that road, right? Which we did. And so here we're just farting around for the camera, but so we got Gerald bouncing on it, and then while I'm doing the gas, we kind of could slide the back end down. That seemed to work until we got pointing that direction. And then I had to back, and we dug the bank away, and we didn't have any shovels or nothing, so we just used our feet. So we dug the bank away, we flattened all the bumps in the middle there, and then it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And Gerald was giving me signals because my front tires are all the times are just hanging off the edge. As soon as I drop one, we're screwed, so I want to get right to the edge but not have it cave in and I go over the edge. Anyway, by the time we turned that thing around, it was overheating and it stopped, and that was that. I totally remember going in to get water, and in fact I've even said that story, but I don't think, looking at these pictures again, logistically I don't think that happened. I think we were really debating on doing that, but the problem is I'd have to come down, and I totally remember doing it, but I can't remember getting the water. Maybe I did, I don't know. This has been a long time ago. This is back in 82, 83 maybe, 83, 84, because I would have drank a ton of water and then I wouldn't have got dehydrated. This was the hill coming down. We parked it on the top of up in the bush there. Figured, okay, we got to walk. Gerald had his gun. He was in a lot better shape than I was, in the sense because I was doing all the digging, I was doing all the pushing, I was doing all the manual labor because, you know, the guy put his there. And so we hiked down this hill here. This is the road we had to come down. It's actually not a bad road, but I think this picture now is when we came back again. When we did get to the bottom, there was that, lo and behold, there's a guy in a skidder driving along, a four-wheel skidder. Now, if you've ever seen those, they articulate in the middle. They're made for getting logs out of the bush, and so they must have been doing some logging. And we asked the guy, hey, can you come up and just tie a chain to the front of this car and you can just drag it down? He couldn't climb the hill. And so next shot here where we're standing on the hill, this is when we definitely came back. It says Gerald and that's Brent on the right. We were going to clear a path, and I think this is right near the bottom part of the road I had to come down. And he couldn't make it. He was spinning out. He said, well, good luck with the car. And Gerald brought his 22 along, I don't know why, but Brent's got his implement just in case we had to move rocks or something. We ended up really just put some water in the rad. It started up right up, and it was sitting up there. Got stuck in June, and we went back up in September. And the only tracks around it were beside little animals and critters where somebody on a motorcycle happened to go by it. But nobody touched the vehicle. Looked underneath, nothing was chewing on any brake lines or nothing. So it was good to go. Yeah, it started right up. Up she went. So that was so cool. So we came down this hill, and Gerald tried sitting on the hood because I couldn't see off the front for big rocks and boulders, and he couldn't stay on the hood. He just kept sliding off, and he just said, forget it because I'm going to run you over. Yeah, I just went for it. Drove down. I had momentum on my side, and anything big, we just kind of scraped over the top of it and got to the bottom. There's a huge ditch and hit that at the right angle and bang, up on the road. I don't think I even hit bottom, if I recall. At this point too, the engine was, had a motor mount busted, and if you stepped on the gas, the engine would come up and bang against the hood. And a muffler was chained on, I believe. So we had to hike down this when we first got stuck. I said, I'm going to be a lot slower because I am getting beat. And Gerald was still sort of fresh, and so let's walk. So we walked out. Gerald was way ahead. He ended up getting a ride, and he ended up, as soon as he got to West Side Road and we thumbed the ride, he got in and he just went and had supper. What a guy. He's supposed to come back and fetch me. He never did. Anyway, so I'm walking out, and my legs are burning. I've never had that. I think it's just dehydration. I take 20, 50 steps and I got to stop. I hobble to the edge. I fall asleep on the moss. I wake up again and I do it again. And I just kept walking out that way. So I was like totally dehydrated. And then finally I got to a point where I could see the highway, the road, the West Side Road. But the road I was on went way down and then come back again and then over. And I was thinking I could just cut this corner and go straight down the hill and go to West and cut off like a lot when I was considering I'm only walking really slow. But I opted to stay to the road, and just my luck a car would come by. Sure enough, one did. So I stood in the middle of the road with a rifle. They stopped. at a safe back distance, and we were yelling at each other. Basically, I said, I need a ride. And he says, okay, we'll give you a ride, but you got to take your gun apart. So I did that. So I gave him the bolt and all this stuff. You know, being wise. I'm standing in the middle of the road, and basically that you're not going by me with it's kind of a stance. So, yeah, anyway, so I got a ride back, and then months later, after a season, so got stuck in spring and went back in fall, basically. Drove it out. And that was that. So that's pretty cool. And so now that we're out and about and we got the vehicle back, now I'm just giving her through the bush. There's a website I'm going to tag onto this description somewhere, and I just saw it not too long ago. And those guys were doing pretty much what we were doing, only they're doing it maybe better. Crazy as it sounds, like there's nobody out in this back bush. It's all crown land. There's nobody ever really back here. This is years and years ago. And yeah, we just flew around the bush and, you know, smashed through stuff. Anyway, teenagers, they were jumping off a cliff. I hit a big tree, bent that, but this car was tough. And you see the movies where the door flies off and some car hits it, so we thought we'd test that theory. And comforts everything, so I had my little, looks like the, you know, the quilted seat cover thing. It's kind of funny to see, actually. So anyway, I backed up along this hill, just flipped the door open, hit a big, huge tree. What actually happens is the door slams against the front fender, and then it comes whipping back, smashes shut, and blows glass all through over the occupants inside the vehicle. Yeah, so that didn't work at all. We ended up having to take off the door with a socket wrench and etc. So here we are, and we always wore helmets, you know, safety first. At least a good third or fourth anyway. And at this point, which is pretty funny, the door being off is really handy because the transmission, the engine was actually starting to separate from the transmission and the linkage was broken. So what I had to do here is you start the vehicle. I just left the car in the bush actually, and then we come back out and then we rip around and then we leave it in the bush and come back. What has to happen here is you start the vehicle, you get out, you open the hood. I have a broom handle. I can reach past the engine and I push the linkage to get it into second or first, which are one of the few gears that are still working. And then you got to close the hood, get back in, put down your broomstick before you get run over or the car takes off on you. So, not the safest thing in the world. And of course reverse that when you got to come to a stop. So you stop and you got to get out, pop the hood, hit the linkage real fast. Meanwhile the car's rolling forward. It's handy to have a buddy, put his foot on the brake for that kind of thing, but I could get it going usually by myself. But anyway, that's where we're at with that one. And this really did happen. We really did hit that tree, and yes, we really did pose. So Gerald's taking the shot on this one. Gerald never actually used, I don't think he ever used really a camera, so he did a couple of good shots. He was impressed. Yeah, so there we are. And we ended up hitting three big trees with that. We had the seatbelts on, but it hurt. And near as I could figure, I was doing 30 miles an hour. It was miles an hour back then. I think all I had was second gear, flat tires, because it was just really struggling. The engine just barely hanging in there. And then I jammed out just as we hit the big trees, because we knew the car was almost coming to an end. And then bam, and it hurt. Holy, we got bruises where the seatbelts were. And that was it. And then the engine separated from the transmission, and that was it for the car. It wasn't moving. We happened to I had a club wagon van as well. That's why I was getting around. So we drug it away from the trees, put it into a spot. We'll come pick it up later. Lo and behold, somebody stole it. Think of that, eh? Can you imagine you just driving around the bush in a 5-ton flatbed, and then lo and behold, looking for a Ford Galaxy 500, and there's a beauty just sitting there. Nobody's claiming it. Pretty handy for us that somebody got rid of it for us. So I ended up seeing it years later in a junkyard. But yeah, it was funny that somebody stole it. It was a beaut though. And then Gerald thought that was a cool idea, so he went and got this car, and I keep forgetting the name of this. I think it was a Chevy Nova, a 73 Chevy Nova, near as I can figure. And he bought it for $300 or something. So he wanted to do kind of like the same thing. But he took all the glass out, all the headlights, anything you could remove, the seats. He took all the seats out. So there were no seats. I'm asking, well, how are we going to drive? We're going to sit there and have to squat? So we put the backs of seats and laid them down so we could sit on those. So when we're driving around here, we're sitting on those and there's no seatbelts, of course, because the seatbelts, you're not seatbelted to anything. Because there's no windows, every time we go through the bush, all the stuff's hitting us in the face. It just wasn't a good idea. And Gerald was driving around, he was boring. So I said, let me drive. And a few minutes later, this is what we ended up here. So there's a big stump underneath that. So I'm ramming stuff, I just went for it. And what we had to do to get the shot, though, is like I got my camera, the old 35mm, and you get those mechanical shutters, which give you I can't remember, 10 seconds, maybe 30 seconds. And you wind that thing up, and then I got to run back, get in there real fast, and do my pose. Gerald did the pose, but what he forgot is where the windshield goes in, there's this rubber gum that holds the window in. So he's laying there now with a bare stomach on that gum. And when he goes to get up, it just ripped all the hair and just stuck to him. Because it's really sticky, right? So it was pretty funny, I thought. Funny for me. And then I figure, okay, I only got like a couple of shots left in the camera, if I recall, and let's get one more. So Gerald didn't want to do this. I'm the guy who usually was jumping the Ford. We used to do this with the Ford Galaxy as well, but we do it at night and we turn the lights off, which is pretty fun. And sometimes we have people in the vehicle and they be screaming, I want to live. It was fun. But you'll see this other website that these guys are doing. That's kind of what we're doing. So I only had like a shot or two. Figured by the time this thing lands, we got one take at this. And Gerald's not a photographer, so I kind of went through it. This is how you're going to shoot it. Don't pan, just stand here. I'm going to hit a log. I'm going to get as fast as I can get going so we get some good air. It's a good show. Remember, I'm no seat belts. I'm just sitting on seat backs that are stacked up. So you're hanging onto the steering wheel really to keep you close to the steering wheel, right? And then so you can keep your foot on the gas. I think Gerald did awesome. It was a great shot. And I don't know how fast I was going, but I was going up here. So and you can see the tire got blown, the front right passenger blown. Landed, it didn't break when it landed, which I was surprised. Tires are popped, of course. And then Gerald got in it, and he drove back. So we were going back to where we parked the van. He said, no, you just go for a rip, and I didn't want to be in it. Gerald scares me. So if he's not boring, he crashes all the time. But anyway, so yeah, sure enough, he was going back. Probably from this jump, it broke a tie rod. And so down the road, as he got up some speed, one of the tires flopped over, and he went veering off the road and into a whole bunch of big stumps. And so I come walking up and eventually catch up to him, probably half a click down the road. And there it is. To be honest, I can't remember how we got rid of the thing. Did somebody come pick it up? Did somebody steal this one too? I don't know. I can't remember. It was Gerald's car. But yeah, that was fun. We used to do this jump. This was like a big bump. You got a long straight, and then there was this bump in the road. It's a little on an angle. Yeah, you can get a good speed at it. That's what we used to do. Fast forward. This is my first Toyota pickup. I think it was an 82 long box, 2-wheel drive, regular cab. A buddy of mine, Archie, had this thing, and it was a work colleague, and I always told him, hey, if you ever want to sell that truck, I'd love it, because this would be a perfect little fishing truck. Nice and small, good on gas. We never needed 4-wheel drive where we're going. It's just these kind of roads, right? Long box, I could sleep in the back. So anyway, one day he had enough of that years later and said, okay, $300. And as I was driving away from his house, $300 well spent, I think. His neighbor come running out, and he said, hey, I got the canopy. I've been trying to sell it to Archie for years, but he wouldn't buy it. $100. So I bought the canopy for $100. So $400. Off I went to the races, and I used to get retreads cheap. Brother worked in a tire shop. So anyway, so I had the vehicle for like days here. Gabby, we just met. So I think this is going up to 14 Mile, East Kootenay Valley, and the truck died. The fuel filter plugged up. So basically, boom. That's where it ended. So I backed into here, just happened to be this spot, and said, well, I guess we're camping. And she was a trooper, so it was great. So that's what we did here. She immediately started setting stuff up, and we're making camp on this road, which is actually quite not busy, but guys like to come up and do fly fishing, and they'll come up early. So yeah, we made ourselves at home, had the best T-bone steak I ever had. We put chairs on the road, so people had to stop. That way I could talk to somebody, because we had to get a ride out. But when people came in, they were really quiet. They moved all the chairs really quiet and just didn't even wake us up. I had to walk into 14 Mile and talk to the guy, and he said, yeah, I'll give you a ride in. It was a long weekend too. So anyway, I got in, got a fuel filter. Can't remember how I got out again. Maybe my friends gave me a ride out. I don't know, I can't remember. Anyway, I changed the filter and bam, off we went. And then not too long after that, like maybe the next week, this all happened in a very short period of time. Maybe a week or two later, okay, Gabby, let's go to Vancouver with this $300 truck. And on the day that I was leaving, it overheated. One of the hoses, coolant hoses busted. And so I got to the intersection of Invermere and on Highway 93, 95. Pulled over, I got Dad to come up and with some water. I was able to shorten the hose a little bit with a knife. We put some coolant in there. I got home, got some antifreeze, and then bam, that night we were driving off to Vancouver. And then we got to this point, I think, and we stopped. Well, truck made it. We had the mindset, well, if it died, we just called somebody to get a ride home. And we took that trip probably 3 times out to Vancouver and tried to do a different road every time. This is the best sleep I've ever had. I don't know exactly where this is, but usually at Salmon Arm we would stop and find a bush road and just sleep in the back, get off the main beaten path. And this was one of the times, I think, and it was cool. Wake up with a mist, best sleep ever. And carry on our merry way, and that's how we slept in the truck. And so I made a little shelf there. You see that rolled up mattress? It's just tucked underneath the shelf. So when we sleep, we put some of the stuff in the front cab, and there's plenty of room for me, for Gabby and I. And when we get driving, we put the coolers back in the back, and it had big foamies. I had huge, it was rusty, right? So stuff would come in, but I had this, at work, this huge big plastic rolls. And so the bottom was plastic, and then you put the big foamies, and oh man, totally comfortable. The vice grips to lock the handle, because it never did have the key for the canopy. And then bear spray right in the corner, so if anybody were to ever come, just stick the bear spray out and spray. And who goes there? Never had to do that though, but I was ready. And then here we are, just, can't remember, this could be White Swan, could be Deer Lake, maybe it's overlooking Deer Lake. And this is one of the trips. I think we're heading to Vernon. We're going down that valley, so we went through there somewhere. Again, this is where we're just camping. We find a road off the beaten path and sleep for the night. Go on to the next place. So this is what everybody's doing now. They're boondocking now, but I guess we were doing it already. This is a cool spot. I think this is up by beach. Where's the beachcomber shot at? I can't remember the name of that town. So up near the west coast of BC, near north of Vancouver, Molly's Reach, right? Where is that? Sort of in that area. You want lunch? And they go, yeah, let me get a fish. So I'm just talking big, right? Thinking I'm not going to get nothing. First cast, boom, pull out a great big one. Here, is this big enough? Sure. I go back sitting down. That's never happened since. Here we are up, I think, at Revelstoke, or the pass, Golden Pass. Heading up past Golden to Sparwood, there's a pass, and it snowed. So one of the trips, can't remember which one it was. We wanted to go to Tofino, so when we got off the ferry, we basically drove straight to Tofino, and it was getting dark, and it was rain. Heavy downpour rain. And it was weird because it was so raining so hard you could barely see the road. And so we got to Tofino. I drove right out onto the docks, so the farthest west I guess we could go. Okay, we're here. Now we got to go find a place. Meanwhile, it's still pouring rain. Need to go find a place to sleep. So we drove back, and then we came across this provincial park. Again, could barely see, and it it's sheet rain coming down, right? I just pulled in. Nobody's going to be here. I don't know. It just seemed like the best vantage point. I'm all sideways parked in a handicap, but I wasn't paying attention to any signs. It's just forget all that. Just where in this space can we park that seems the best? I don't know. And that was it. So we crawl in the back, and then throughout the night, it's kind of funny. We don't realize it, but we're getting cold, and pretty soon we're like really majorly in the fetal position. What the hell? How come our feet are freezing cold? You put your feet down, it's like, oh, it's all wet. The canopy was leaking. It still rained into the next day. It lightened up a little bit. It was funny because then we saw, there's the restroom, the outhouse thing was open, and it was like, this is great. It's a little cabin. And there's 2 sides. There's a back side and a front side, men and women. So we kind of took over this one here, backed the truck in, hung up all our stuff. Our sleeping bags were actually pretty good because the water was pooling on top of the sleeping bag, and then so when we pulled out, just ton of water came out. And then Gabby held up the umbrella, and I walked around because I got some clear silicone, and I just siliconed the bejesus out of the canopy wherever it was leaking. So here I'm just having something to eat, hanging up all our stuff throughout the outhouse. Nobody around. But it was funny because then a car come ripping in. Some woman gets out, starts walking over to the thing, looks at us, gets back in the car and takes off. We didn't have a chance to tell her, hey, there's another one in the back. We'll leave so you can, if you want to, you have to go or whatever. But it's kind of funny that she came across and looking at the truck. I guess we're squatters. So we kind of were, I guess. But yeah, then we found a good spot the next day. We went into Tofino, found a fisherman, bought 3 crabs off him, 2 for $5, 1 for $7. They're big. We ended up finding this spot here. Yeah, you can't do this anymore. You can't stay overnight in these parks. Maybe they frowned upon it then, but nobody was checking. Back and this is our view in the morning, looking at the ocean. But it was funny because I've never cooked crab before, and I had this little tiny burner, like the kind you hike with, and so it's a little itty-bitty one, runs on butane, and it took forever to boil the water, because you have to have a big enough pot to boil this water. Hours, to boil this water. It was like 2 a.m. by the time I got the crab into this pot. And we always joke about the first one was like, rawr, give me that leg, rawr, rawr. you're eating too much. And the next one was like, oh, this is pretty good. And the third one was like, oh, would you like a piece? But to get that first one going, it took forever. And the fisherman said, yeah, all you got to do is you get a knife and you cut the crab down the middle of his head kind of thing, and you put him in the water. All right, sounds simple enough. So that's me right now trying to do this thing. I got a 6-inch hunting knife, and the legs are like on that thing are 7, 8 inches long. So as soon as I poked him, his legs come up at me. So now I'm holding just the very end of the knife, and I'm trying to cut this thing, and his legs keep coming up, and I'm freaking out. So it's funny. Yeah, first crabs. And there really wasn't a lot of food on, crab legs, right? And was that the pot? Maybe we had another one. I don't know, I can't remember. But anyway, it took forever to boil the water. So now we're visiting some friends out there, and they lived in Duncan. This could be a different trip, one of the 3. Driving around the island, we thought it was pretty funny. All the signs in the middle of nowhere. So we went to all kinds of places throughout the island, Vancouver Island. Saw some mines, chased little bunny rabbits. Yeah, it was great. And like I say, wherever, we just, okay, I'm tired, and pull over here and we'll sleep in the truck. It doesn't look like we're sleeping in the truck, so we're boondocking kind of incognito. Sleep anywhere. Nobody really knows we're in there, and now everybody's doing this. There's YouTube channels all over the place, but anyway, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And what's funny is now we're back, and then we did a ton of camping. So every weekend in the last year, we got a lake to ourselves. It was great. And I don't know where this is. I think maybe it was heading up toward 14 Mile. I can't remember, but the signs were hilarious. Bulletproof, thieves only. Crazy old dude. I forget where this exactly was, but pretty funny signs out and about. And yeah, these last couple of shots are just as we're camping. This could be a cub lake, potentially. I think we are up above White or Deer Lake here. So we drove up there a couple times in the mucky muck. Truck handled great. I've never got it. Well, I can't say never got stuck. I did bury it in mud once, but this thing would go and go. Got good tread, it's light. This would be at Bot's. Camped with some friends here. Yeah, it's an okay spot. You can put 2 people in here, but if you know each other, you can't really. It's just a 1-person spot. Yeah. So when I'm jibber jabbering on some other videos about jumping the cars, whatever, it kind of clears things up. And I ended up selling this truck. I think I ended up giving it to Gerald. I even paid for his registration. So I gave him this truck. Put a thing on the thing for like $1 or something. Paid for his registration. He ended up selling it for $50 or $100 or something to some teenagers, and they tried to wreck it. As far as I know, that thing's still running. It's a little 4-banger. That engine just won't die. It just always goes. I've never not started this engine when we had it. So great truck, great truck. Actually, my daughter has a Tacoma now, so a 2005 Tacoma, which is kind of a very similar feel and a very similar engine, maybe even the same, only a newer version of that 4-banger engine. And those trucks are great. If you look at the Aussies, when they're 4-wheeling, they don't lift their vehicles. They keep them low, so the center of gravity is low. And if you're nimble and watch, the equalizer is always the differential, right? You can have a big truck, unless your tires are like super big. The differential is always going to be like 8 inches off 9 inches off the ground. So it's going to work around that. That's the trip. That's the trucks. For all you people who may have been wondering, which probably just me. See you on the next one.